We live in an interesting time in the world where the word self-made, self-built has been used, misused, and taken out of context. We forget that where we are and who we are today is because one person or two or three or maybe a community believed in us. Your family didn't, your relatives didn't, your neighbors didn't. But there's this one person. That person may be a stranger. It may have been that person who was rejected by society, that guy or that lady who drank or was on drugs. But one day said one word of hope, and they said, "Don't be like me." Or they said, "I see something great in you." When we were born, no matter soon by the time to came into the world, whether it was the midwife who decided not to give up on you, or whether it was the doctor and the nurses who never give up on you, that's how we ended up coming into this world. And in this world is full of pain and troubles. And in the process, our hearts get hardened. Hardened because of what we've had to endure. Hardened because of the things and the secrets that we have to bury to the graves. Pain and trials that leave us asking ourselves, why was I born? You wake up where you live, your country, your nation, your family, skills. But you did nothing wrong. You wronged nobody. But hence we are in the society that we live in. But there's one person who planted a seed. Having grown up in a very rough life, whereby rats were normal for me. There was this thing that we say in our culture that when you take, we call it ugali, that when you take, so for those who are not, okay, when you Google the English version, they say it's porridge, maize, something like that. But anyway, when you take it, it leaves some crumbs on your hands. And so the story is make sure you always wash your hands because the rats will bite. Now, can I confirm that this is true? Yes, because as a kid, we had rats. It was a very rough neighborhood. If you had a third on the top of the roof, that would be someone's head. So that was the type of life. So whether it's within domestic violence, whether it's outside, it was chaos. So I go to this school, moving environments, and this school was almost like a private school. And I am from this rough, tough, love, that type of life. And I get into a place whereby they're so fluent in English. They're being driven by their parents. For me, I used to have this bottle. We used to take it for tea, milk. We'd put it across our neck, and then it would look either like an elephant. I'm forgetting the name we used to use. And would go, and these guys. That's when I was in school. That's when I came to see things like ham, bacon, sausages. That's why I became familiar with them, because where I grew up, those are not things I was used to. I actually saw them when people were taking their tea breaks. And I remember, because of the life that I grew home, being rough and all, and I remember like my old man would he would call me and say, "Come have my meal." And when I have his meal, it would have chili. So when I take it, I'm a child, I start crying. And then he'd laugh at me and say, "Now look at you." And so that was the life that I was very accustomed to. So now I come into a school, and then I'm a total stranger to the environment. And then you're cast on the side, and you're laughed at, and you're kicked, and you're bullied. Why? Because you're different. And my English was very broken. So what would happen is from 8 years up to, from 8 years through to 11 years, I used to have a collar that used to be put on my neck by the teachers. And because I was terrible at English, and because I was terrible at English, I used to walk with that collar for a full week. It was like a small, big board, and it says something, no English, something. But in other words, for the other person, they would understand I'm terrible at English. If that wasn't the case, I would put on a sack. So take this situation at home, where it's domestic violence and all that, and being pulled down. Then to school, I had to pull this for like 4 years. But there's this one teacher who was a mathematics teacher, and he believed in me. and used to tell me, Norris, you have to learn maths and everything. I was terrible at mathematics. And he moved to a point, even he decided to tuition me, even bringing his cousin into it. And I was taught mathematics. I failed. I got an E in mathematics. I went to high school. I got another E. I never got why he never gave up on me. And I continued. But I went to college. When I got my E, when now I'm moving to college, at that time I was a mechanic, and I'd also hopeless. I see people carrying this bag, the laptop big, the one you hang it on your shoulder. I was hopeless. I was busy dealing with oils. And I remember I got my results on my phone and I got an E in mathematics. I'm like, oh yeah, so I'm a failure. And now when I was going to apply for colleges, I remember I told you have to do bridging. I said, I'm never bridging. And I went and was able to do my maths. I applied for business management, and eventually I had to meet accounts. Mind you, I was very terrible. But to my amazement, I got straight A's. Then as I continued in campus, I got straight A's again. And to this very day, in terms of money and all those accounting, I'm good at it. If that one teacher never believed in me, I'll never be. And because of him, I used to go to school a lot. There was an English teacher who never gave up on me. He used to give me words of wisdom. He is the one who used to tell me life is not a rehearsal. And he's the reason as to why I was able to go to the library and read and read. Actually, I became so accustomed to the comic world that when I grew up, I made sure I watched Marvel or their production for over 10 years. And big screen and all. The thing is, you never know who you're going to plant a seed on. You really never know. And people are going through a lot out here. Someone may be rejected by their family because they don't indulge in particular things. That invitation, you invite them to a cookout or that meeting or say, hey, yo, come over, I'll prepare a meal or let's go for a lunch or something. That may be the one shift to change in someone's life. Plant that seed because you do not know who you're planting. There are seeds you can plant that brings out great and mighty leaders. The other seeds you plant and you get the man with the mustache. And you know how that went down. Because at the end of the day, everyone is going through something. There's someone right now who's going through a divorce. There's someone right now who's now taking medications due to STI for the rest of their life, yet they were innocent. There's someone right now, fighting for their life in hospital. They were driving, following all the rules, but someone in their drunken stupor rammed into them. Now they are being told, now you are going to have steel bars, all that stuff in your body. There's someone who's burying a loved one right now. There's someone who in their country, they were very okay. Now they're running from missiles. People are going through different storms. There's someone who, by the eyes of many, they have everything, but there's nothing. There's someone who's like maybe a content creator and everybody looks at them and like, wow. But the real thing is they just don't want to be seen. They're broke. And if they get into a place, all the prices go up. Everyone is going through a storm. But you may be the one person to change the shift in someone's life. So instead of being the one who gossips, the one who's sitting among the people, saying, look at this one. Maybe you be the one to take that one bold step and be the light of hope in someone's life. Because everyone is going through a storm. And no one will be able to know until you have an environment where someone can be able to feel free. It doesn't matter what people have gone through. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. We are not self-made billionaires, millionaires, self-made whatever. Someone put a seed of hope. That doctor never gave up. That's why you're right here. That nurse never gave up. That's why you're right here. That midwife never gave up. That's why you're right here. That teacher never gave up. That's why you're right here. That particular boss never gave up. That's why you're right here. There's a colleague who never gave up. That's why you're right here. There's someone, maybe it's a partner or an ex, who planted a seed of hope. That's where you're right here. We are where we are because one person or two or three planted a seed and they never gave up on us. Yet we didn't find ourselves worthy to sit on any table. But guess what? Now people say you have to sit on this table because you belong. Yet when you look at yourself, your career credentials, they don't match the seat. Because when divine favor looks at you, it does not know your religion. It does not know your status. It does not know your academics. Divine favor has no boundaries, has no east, has no west, has no north, has no south. You'll be picked from wherever you are. You'll be put in the kings. Many people call themselves kings and queens, but do you understand what it is to be a royal? Because royal don't go shaking their body and showing all their skin to the world. Men showing their chest, look at me, I'm a king. You're not a king. You're not a queen. If you are, you know your worth and you know how to sit on that table and which seat you should never sit on. So whatever you're going through, plant a seed of hope. Even when your world is shaking, maybe that seed you plant or the other one will put your life into stability. Don't stop planting seeds of hope.